Good afternoon, all. I wanted to start the presentation by showing you a short introduction. After that, we will have the separate presentations, of course. First of all, yes, this is what we are going to do this afternoon, a short introduction by me, being one of the board members of the EPDA, and we are fully business with packaging as a profession, of course. We have Uwe Melcher, the current president of EPDA. We have Maria from Finland. She is with Stora Enso. Sven, you are one of the partners in Mona Packaging, and the last presentation is actually a presentation made by Fabrice Pelletier, but I will give the presentation in order to share it with all of you. And at the end, we have a discussion with the questions that have been raised during the presentations, probably. So Uwe will do the presentation himself. I will do the other ones. So let me do the presentation, the start of first. Actually, when we are talking about packaging, we know that packaging has to make sense, of course. And in the past, we didn't have that need for packaging, but we know, for example, a very normal and human packaging, I would say. This one is a different one, of course, but it has also a role as a packaging. And we all know the old amphoras in Greece and in Roman areas in which wine was transported from one place to the other. And the amphora was at that time a packaging tool and nothing else. Today it is in musea, and it is a very worthwhile issue, but at that time not. This is packaging as well. So for that point, what happens when we have created packaging in the whole world in all these decades? This is the Mumbai beach a few years ago when I was giving a presentation in the Mumbai, and in the early morning, the whole beach is covered with packaging waste. And they say we have no problem because we collect it all in the early night. We bring it together, we clean up the beach, and we burn everything so everybody can use the heat. I think now today we know that this is not the way how to do it. So that's the reason why we sit together to see what can we do by adding value to waste. And that is actually in sense of the presentation name actually van Uwe, because he said decorating waste. So Uwe, for the first lecture, I would say you are on stage, and please share your ideas with us until we finish your part of it, yeah?
Yeah, thank you very much, Rob. I'm very happy to be here with you. Sorry, what's wrong here? Sorry, yeah. Decorating waste, yeah, I've chosen that title because I want to give you a vision of the designer's point of view for packaging as such, for packaging material, for the choice, for all things around packaging. But first, I would like to introduce myself. Well, I'm in the business since about 27 years already. I stayed for 25 years as partner of one bigger company, and well, last year I decided to do my own business. Apart from that, I'm jury member of Red Dot, of Pent Awards, of Golden Pin in Taiwan. You can see us here, the EPDA group, the top right corner, when we've been to Taipei, for example. Well, I'm giving keynotes and traveling the world, and that brings me to my next slide, because within those 20 something years, I traveled so much that I ended up with a huge pile of my boarding passes. These are all my boarding passes, and you can imagine this creates a huge carbon footprint, and I must say, looking back, I'm a little bit ashamed about that. And that was also the reason why I decided to change my business, and I started Melcher Bros last year, because I was looking for my purpose, and my purpose is to make the planet a little bit better, to make packaging healthier, and well, to avoid waste wherever possible. So the first thing you could get into your mind is why can't we live without packaging at all? Oops, I need to go one back. Yeah, if we would have just no packaging, it would look like that. It's from a photographer from UK, very nice pictures, but you can maybe immediately see that doesn't work for some products. For some products, it works very well, for others not. And that's why I have my problems with these stores, these unpacked stores. There is Ome store in Japan, there is Original Unverpackt in Germany, and I'm sure you will have an Unverpackt store around your corner as well. It's a great idea in general, and wherever possible, as said, I would also avoid packaging. But it's not a good concept if you put it over all different categories and products. Reality looks different, as you can see here. Imagine wet dog food that doesn't work without any packaging, and that brings us to the question, what is packaging for? I have two examples of packages where we can have doubts. So if you look, for example, at this picture here, you see these cereals, and it's one big bundle of 6 packs with the different flavors from Nestle. But if you take the content out of the packs, it looks like that. Yeah. So there's a lot of waste. There's plastic foil as a barrier for the delicate content. There are the boxes made from paper, and you have a huge pile of waste, and that's, I think, not very good. We can discuss whether we really need those small packages. It's a matter of convenience, but then we end up in a moral discussion, and I want to avoid this for today. We want to have a look on packaging. Another example is the Schokobons from Kinder. And I was talking to the guys from the agency who created this package, and they came up with this quote. They said, hey, we're fed up with just decorating waste. And that really made me thinking, is that true? Are we as designers only decorating waste? I don't think so. But if you open this box of Schokobons, or this bag of Schokobons, then this is the result, and you have a lot of waste around you. So the question is, what is packaging for? What can packaging do for us? And for sure, we have to question the briefing if we get a job like this to create a package for a product like this. Packaging for sure protects the product, so it can extend the shelf life. It can protect it from physical or other things around. It's also a matter of convenience. You open a bag or a box and you can reseal it, close it again. And it's also a carrier of communication. You need to know what's inside of the pack, and especially for non-food, but also for food. What are the ingredients about? If you take care about your health, what's inside. These are all matters of packaging. And together with these three attributes, we have to think about sustainability. It needs to be balanced out, and there is no universal answer. You can say it's best to go in that direction, or you can go in that direction. We all know that if we take material from renewable sources, that is much better than to use fossil resources. And we'll hear about that from Maria from Stora Enso later, because they're producing this wonderful material for our fiber-based packages. So, and if we look, what can we do as designers, but all along the supply chain, then there is this waste hierarchy pyramid. So the best thing we can do is leave out packaging wherever possible, like in the Original Unverpackt stores. We can reduce the volume of packaging, do a lighter weight packages, rethink and redesign our packages. Then we can reuse them. That's even better than recycling or compost. If we use them again and again, then we extend the lifespan of a package. If this is not possible, or if they're at the end of their life, nevertheless, then we can recycle and compose ideally what we have. And this is the biggest topic we are talking in the whole industry about right now. And if you have fiber-based packaging, then you're in the biological circle. If you have plastics, then you're in the technical circle, but that's a longer and intense discussion. Well, the next one is recover, means thermal recycling. That's simply to burn the packages, not the best option, but if you end up with energy, it's at least something. Disposal is not an option, and nor is littering. Littering is the worst thing. We've seen the pictures from Mumbai Beach from Rob earlier. So this is what we can do. So there is this famous quote, which I really like a lot. There is no such thing as waste, just stuff in the wrong place. We have to see the material we create, the packages we create, as food stock for new packages. That's the way we have to go all together. And some good examples about how that can look is, for example, a package created by Enlisted, an agency for Allbirds. That's a shoe company, and that's a very innovative shoe box made out of paper pulp. That's something like this. I have something like this here. So it's molded paper. And the good thing is they made really up their mind. The good thing is if it is not needed anymore as a shoebox, you can reuse it and, for example, use it as a flower pot. And after that, if you don't need it anymore, you can just put it into the paper stream, or you can even put it together with your plants into your garden, and it disappears away in a certain period of time. Another good example, I have it here, that's seed lip that's made out of agricultural waste, glued together with mushroom cultures. Well, it's quite special from the haptics, but it's a real innovative packaging based on fast growing resources, natural resources, and again, biodegradable, home compostable. The other one is well, even further development of what we've seen with the shoebox. That's paper foam. It's a company from Utrecht called Paper Foam, and they made it possible to inject a paper material into a mold, and you can create more difficile constructions, and really you can come out with really exciting packages. Interesting is if talking about recycling and the choice of material, because this is what we as designers have to do at a certain moment, then we can have a look at Ritter Sport, the famous German chocolate brand. They already started in 1932, and at the beginning they had cellophane as the packaging material. I have it in my hands. This is a piece of packaging from Ritter Sport from the early 50s. And later on, they decided to go for plastic as a monomaterial, which is not too bad because it is recyclable. They even got a cradle-to-cradle certification for that, but the consumer didn't understand that this is not that bad and that plastic does not need to be bad. And so they're experimenting at the moment with a paper packaging. From the haptics and everything, it's more beautiful. Well, from a sustainability point of view for this specific product, well, I'm not sure. We'll see. I think we have to dive deeper into that subject to really evaluate if this is better or not better. But the consumer appreciates it a lot, much more than the plastic packaging they had before. Yeah, this is another example. Again, this paper pulp material for IKEA, a Russian company, came up with this idea. It replaces the air cushion foils, plastic foils for transport. IKEA, they have a lot of things which need protection for transport and everything, and you can tear it in both directions. And it's a fantastic piece of work. We gave them the biggest award on Red Dot 2 years ago. There are many different materials. Here, for example, it's wax coming from bees. This is a honey pot packaging, super interesting, exciting, but not for a larger scale. But we need these experiments to really find out what are the materials which take us to the future. I've been at Stora Enso, for example, with Maria, and she told me what they're experimenting on some time ago. So we need to also do some crazy things to come to new solutions. There are so many different materials, like from lactose. You can make material out of orange peels, coconut husks, avocado seeds, and many more. And I can just recommend this book, Materials in Progress, from my friend Sasha. Yeah, check it out. It's really interesting to see some of these materials are still in development, some are already in the market. So pragmatic takeaway here is learn, study, be curious, stay updated, and avoid greenwashing. So this is really something, this whole industry moves so fast. You always have to look at blogs and follow conferences like this and talk to the people along the value chain. And there is, as I said, no universal answer. We as designers, we can only, well, take part of some issues, but for each and every packaging project, you need to really look deep into what you have to pack and what it is for which market. You need the purpose of the pack, the use case, where the logistics around it, retail, where is it well sold, the consumer needs, but also the construction of the package, and last but not least, also for sure the material you're proposing or you're using. Some more things are listed, but I don't want to go deeper into that here. And it's important that we work together. As a designer, you're just one little part of the whole supply chain. And if you look at the different packaging stakeholders, there is the substrate suppliers, such as Stora Enso. There are packaging manufacturers producing these boxes and cans and everything. Then there is logistics, retail, consumers who are also demanding things. And in the center of all this is the brand owner, the product manufacturer, who wants to have a package for his or her valuable good. And hopefully at the end, there's the recycling process that brings feedstock back to the circle and let us make new packages out of this. The learning is we have to cooperate. It's really necessary that we talk to each other, and you're really welcome whenever it makes sense. Just call me, call us, and talk to us, and we'll trying to help out with our design knowledge around packaging. One good example for reuse, we have seen that in the pyramid, is from former days. In the 30s, there was the big depression and people were in need of clothes and they didn't have fabric for that. So they made clothes out of used flour sacks. And the flour producers, they've been very clever and thought, well, if this is the case, then we print nice patterns on the flour sacks so that they can easily use these sacks. So there was a need, and the answer was a way of turning trash into treasure and making clothes out of these flour sacks. And the clever thing is that the washing instruction, for example, or the brand of the flour was printed in a different ink, with a different ink, and that was washed out. If you wash the flour sack, then this disappears and only the nice pattern has been left. So very old idea, but can be transferred into our future. There are a lot of things that can be reused. For example, this repack bags, they can be returned, been cleaned and reused for new online sellers. Other thing, you know, this Reed Cup or even Burger King start something where we can reuse the cups and packaging items. Due to Corona, that was a little bit drawn back, but I'm pretty sure that these things will come up at a bigger scale. A big thing is loop. It's based on the old milkman system idea coming from the UK long time ago. Even started in 1785, that milk was delivered to the door steps of households. And based on this system, and we have to regard it as a system, there is loop. You should look that up. This is really exciting. And they changed the packaging for their services. It's packaging as a service. They force, or they ask the brand owners to produce rigid packaging. For example, you see the cashew nut packaging that's from stainless steel and can be reused many times. So after you finished your cashew nuts, you can put the container back in the bag, and with the next deliveries, you get your deposit back. This will be cleaned and refilled. That started in the US, but it's very successful around the globe, and is even been launched just last week in the UK in a cooperation with Tesco. There you can buy these rigid packaging, these valuable packages, and return them in a vending machine. You can see bottom left, and you get a deposit back. You'll be rewarded for bringing back the package. So pragmatic takeaway here. Regard packaging as a whole, as a system, including its end of life. I did something similar. That was a study, my project. I developed a bottle, the bionic bottle, and inside there is a very thin material holding the content, so you can rebuy this content part, but you keep the stable structure, and the waste which is created after use is very limited. It's a concept, it's not ready for the market, but we can imagine that many companies could use this idea, and I was awarded with the Pent Awards 2 years ago. Well, communication is a big issue. We have so many different icons and pieces of information outside, and you can pick one, but consumers are completely lost with this jungle of certificates, recycling icons, materials, how to recycle instructions, and biodegradable, whatever, pictograms. So we as a designer, we have to come up with better pieces of information, better design of how to, and this needs standards. So we know the Blue Angel and things like that, and some are quite successful, but in general, there's a lot work to do, that the consumers at the end of the journey understand what we want them to do with the used packages. Well, that's basically it from my side. We have to come from a human-centered design to an environmental-centered design. We have to think about our planet. So we have to think about packaging in planetary boundaries. EU has the Green Deal, so there are many things already on its way, and I can just encourage you to help us working on this. Whatever you do, if you're a student or if you're a professional, no matter, we have to make our planet better in this respect. Well, and that's it from my side. Thank you very much. Let's increase value and decrease waste. Thank you very much.
Explanation of how we have to proceed in future. So from my point of view, I would say let's have in the dialogue afterwards enough input from your side already, and probably from the others as well, in order to share that in a dialogue. So the next one, who is now, let me see how I do it, I guess, no? Okay. The next presentation is from Maria. Maria, very welcome. My question is, at the moment, you want to see the next sheet, just raise your hand very shortly and I will press the button, because that is, I think, the most convenient way for the smaller presentations. So, Maria, can you introduce yourself a bit? And that's the topic you want to talk about with us.
Thank you, Rob, and good afternoon also on my behalf. So my name is Maria Holopainen, and I come from Stora Enso, the renewable materials company. and I'm responsible for developing circular solutions for mainly our food service end use. So to get all the cups and related food service items collected, sorted, and recycled, that's very close to my heart. And you will also hear some examples, particularly from that field.
Yes.
So as the renewable materials company, our promise is that everything that is made from fossil-based materials today can be made from a tree tomorrow. And that's our ambition, and that's our target, that we work very hard every day, so that in the future, that would be something that, that we all can build our future on. So as part of bioeconomy, Stora Enso is a leading provider of renewable solutions when it comes to packaging, biomaterials, and wooden construction, and also paper. So there has been significant transformation in the industry during the past 10 years. So before, it was very much based on paper, but today it's much more relying on packaging and new innovative end uses that you can imagine that fiber can deliver. So within Stora Enso, I have roughly 23,000 colleagues, and a big bunch of us is actually located in Finland, and that's also where I am based. So our headquarters is in Helsinki, and I'm also having my base in Helsinki. However, Europe is our dominating market, and I also have many colleagues there. A few also in the Netherlands that I assume that many of you are coming from today. So to understand Stora Enso and our background, I think it's important to know that where we are coming from. And our roots are deep in the forest, and they go all the way back to 1288 to Falun in Sweden. And that actually makes us the oldest publicly listed company in the world. So we can say that forest is our foundation for value creation. And how we see forest, that it is valuable, it's a growing asset that also enables us to supply fiber in long term. And renewability, which is at the heart of our company, and it's the key selling point for us. That requires that we take good care of our asset, the forests, and rely on sustainable forest management practices so that we can keep our forests healthy and productive, and we can let them grow forever. So in terms of forest growth, for example, in Finland, we on annual basis, the forests are growing roughly 110 million cubic meters, while the consumption in general is something between 60 and 80 million. So every year the forests are growing more than they are being harvested. And as part of that, biodiversity is something that is promoted as part of like everyday sustainable forest management practices. And if we think about that, what does that like mean in practice? In Finland, for example, for each tree that is being cut, 3 to 4 trees, seedlings are planted back. And if we think about Stora Enso alone, last year we planted 41 million tree seedlings in the Nordics, Baltics, and Russia. So then when considering forests as our assets, they are also a key what comes to combating climate change. So when we think about growing forests, it's really the young trees that absorb carbon dioxide when they grow. And meanwhile, then the old forests, when they start decaying, they also release carbon. So carbon is stored in wood, and it's also stored in wood-based products through recycling. So in terms of sustainable forest management practices, so we consider the economic, social, and environmental aspects of sustainability. And in terms of our wood, it all comes from sustainable sources. And in terms of those lands that we own and manage, 98% are covered by certification. So there are several certification schemes globally. You might have heard about FSC. Then there is also PFC, which is widely adopted, particularly in the Nordics. So when we solve the sustainability challenges together with our customers, we can look at both the virgin fibers and recycled fibers, depending on what kind of packaging needs we have at hand. In all cases, as Uwe was explaining, so we are solving the needs of eco-conscious consumers, and that's the puzzle that the brand owners are trying to crack every day. So across the value chain, we're putting our efforts towards finding new ways to replace fossil-based materials with low carbon, renewable, and recyclable alternatives. In several end uses. It can be about food and drink, or pharmaceutical, or transport packaging. And to make this happen, we need innovations. So today, already 25% of plastic packaging could be replaced by alternative materials, for example, paperboard. And that is a direction that is generally recognized. So quite many are looking for alternatives to replace fossil-based materials such as plastic. And there, if we look at some examples regarding those solutions that we have provided to solve our customers' needs in replacing plastics. So, for example, in cosmetics, we have introduced a paper-based tube, which is one way to replace plastics. And also, when looking at food and beverage, there we are continuously trying to find alternatives for beverage containers, tapping into fiber-based materials, and also in food service area, finding alternatives where we don't need to use single-use plastic items, but instead we can have fiber-based alternatives. Also in the field of e-commerce, we see that big giants are moving towards having attractive, strong, and efficient packaging that of course promotes the product, it communicates about it, but also delivers on applications that can be easily recycled. And when talking about having material that is circular by nature, we have to discuss paper and board. So paper and cardboard, they are the most recycled material in Europe, delivering with a recycling rate of 83%. So you could say it's circular by nature. And when discussing products that are circular by nature, we of course need to look at the whole circular bioeconomy, which requires collaboration across the value chain at all stages, from product design to use and all the way to recycling, including the collection and recycling systems. So with Stora Enso, our raw materials, they are renewable. When we produce material for packaging, we move towards using as little raw material as possible. So our ambition is to get more with less, and also design materials in a way that they are easily recyclable. And then also in the hands of consumers, if we can find ways to reuse the packaging before disposing, then of course we can enable a longer life cycle to it. And then when disposing the packaging, I had a lunch just before this seminar, and because I didn't have time to stay for the coffee, so I took the cup with me. And now when I've finished this, I need to know where to put it to enable that it can get recycled for like a second life. And in Finland, I put it in a board bin because here we collect graphical paper separately, and then we have another bin for old corrugated containers and other type of paperboard packaging, then which gets recycled, for example, at our Varkaus mill in central Finland. So that's the key. We need to enable the infrastructure for consumers and also increase awareness of how to dispose the used packaging in a correct way so that it can get collected, it can get sorted, and eventually it will be recycled. And of course, recycled in as efficient way as possible so that we can truly maximize the value of the material for second life. Then if we look at what other examples Stora Enso can offer or kind of in the areas that we are working. So when looking at our operations in Poland, so there today we use recycled paper for corrugated board production at our Ostroleka mill. And we have also plans for the future, how we will triple the recycling capacity of beverage cartons together with our customer Tetra Pak. And that line will then triple the annual recycling capacity, what is available today. And not just serving Polish market, but with that solution, we are able to recycle beverage containers also from Hungary, Slovakia, and Czech Republic. Meanwhile, in Belgium, we are capable of recycling used paper cups on a large scale for magazine paper, for example, at our Langebrugge mill. And I know that that's a topic that has also been widely discussed, that whether the cups can be recycled or not. They can be recycled. It's a matter of, again, disposing the cup correctly, so putting it to the right bin. And enabling the recycling. So, so we should sort of keep the materials separate. So put the tea bags in a right bin and also put the cups in a right bin. They don't belong in the same bin. So that's an area where we need to kind of also build the best practices together so that we can enable recycling. And if we look at, for example, paper cup recycling, so the starting point is, I think now you moved one slide too far.
Yeah.
So one back. Sorry.
No, I'm going.
Oh, now I think even one more. And then the next, please.
No, it's not. I'm sorry.
I think, and one back.
No, sorry. That.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rob. So with the paper cup, of course, the starting point is good. So we have a renewable material. We know already its advantages. And by recycling the used packaging, we can lower the already low carbon footprint by half. And as I said, consumer plays a big role, but also the collection and sorting can deliver on solving this puzzle. So we're really encouraging, like everyone, to look into these opportunities that how we can give second life for those materials that are already like valuable today because of having low carbon footprint, that can be recycled in theory and practice, but don't get collected. So so this is an area where we want to really challenge also the waste management companies and brand owners, so that we could work together so that we can actually get the material for collection and sorting, so that then we can use the valuable fibers in new end uses. And then when discussing about low carbon footprint, so our business is actually a net contributor to prevent global warming. So not many industrial companies of our size, almost 10 billion euros turnover, can say that they are climate positive. And how we like consider being climate positive, it is a sort of combination of our trees absorbing CO2 from the atmosphere, and then also providing substitution for alternative materials because of using paperboard. And then, of course, we need to deduct all those emissions and the impact what comes from our value chain, for example, because of transportation. But our positive climate impact in 2019, it was 11.5 million tons of CO2. So we are on the right track, but we are not satisfied, and we will continue to strive so that we can increase the reductions across all our operations and value chain, so that we can contribute even more to a better climate. And if we look at some of those product examples that have a lower carbon footprint, it's where basically the largest portion of our benefit to the climate comes from fossil replacement enabled by our materials. And there, basically, like some examples you see here, for example, the eco fish box. We eat a lot of salmon in the Nordics, and by replacing the traditional EPS box with like a paper-based solution, we can save the CO2 emissions that equal to 76,000 cars, or the emissions produced by those cars. So in addition, in food and drink sector, we know that fiber-based beverage cartons, they have a lower carbon footprint than PET plastic bottles, for example. And also, if we look at the like a food service, where today, like a lot of the systems in quick service restaurants, they are predominantly based on single-use paper-based packaging, and there is like a quite strong discussion. Also, we have seen some examples today about potential reusables introduced in this segment. But before sort of before thinking, we would highly encourage everyone to look at the full life cycle of the packaging, and particularly pay attention to its life cycle environmental performance. So we have, together with European Paper Packaging Association, run a thorough LCA study with the help of primary data across the value chain, including material suppliers such as us, all the way to the brand owner, so that we can actually get understanding of the environmental impact of the packaging throughout its life cycle. And there, the findings was that actually the current paper-based single-use system is better for the environment than the hypothetical reusable one. And there, the key findings were around that both the CO2 emissions would increase if the multi-use system would be introduced, as well as also the freshwater consumption would increase. So basically the climate change impact would triple and the freshwater consumption would quadruple compared to the current paper-based single-use system if introduced or if the multi-use system would be introduced. And then now if you want to kind of dig a bit deeper into this study, I will post, okay, now we went one slide too far, but I will post, well, actually one before. So here, no, the next one, there is a green slide presenting EPA, that's the correct one, thank you. So please Google European Paper-based European Paper Packaging Alliance, and then you can find this single-use versus multi-use, which one is actually better for the environment. You can find more information about the study itself, and then by clicking the YouTube link, you can then watch an informative video, which tells you then more about the study and more about its details, but something truly to consider, because personally, I would think that reusable is always better than single use. And in some cases, for sure, it is that. But then when we talk about specific end use in environments such as quick service restaurants, the answer might be against our common belief, and that's why it's highly recommended to look into the details and really understand the true impact and environmental performance across the life cycle of the packaging. And now, if I get the last slide, thank you. So when combating global warming, we build our solutions on renewable and recyclable packaging materials. And with the help of our fiber-based solutions, we drive packaging circularity from design to recycling. And we build on sustainable forest management practices, sustainable packaging, product safety, and we focus on developing solutions for circular economy that have the lowest environmental footprint we can get. For the future, we move towards having packaging material portfolio that is carbon neutral, is made by 100% renewable resources, and it comes from 100% sustainable sources. We believe in packaging that is fully recyclable, and it's not that only in theory, but it's also that in practice. And to make that happen, we also need your help so that you can contribute to enabling second life and third life and fourth life for fiber-based materials by disposing them correctly, and thus helping us to achieve our common goal, which is the circular bioeconomy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. Sorry that I couldn't play the film in this presentation, but anyhow, you announced the link so people will find it, I'm absolutely sure. Thank you for your contribution. Also, a lot of materials to be discussed afterwards, I hope. So the next one I want to introduce is Sven van Eester. He's actually part of a Dutch company, because the museum, as we are located in Holland, said we should have at least one partner coming from Holland. So I said, okay, then we do that. And we found Mona Packaging is a company that is already for many years there, but Sven can, I think, explain it. Sven, let me see. Introduce yourself, please. You are muted. Yes.
Not anymore. Thank you for pointing me on that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Rob. You can already move on to the next slide. Okay, today I'm going to give you some insights in a new pilot project of ours called Happy Plastic. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about who Mona Packaging is, who we're based, what we're doing, why we believe that much in sustainable entrepreneurship, to move forward towards our new project. You can move forward, Rob.
Sorry.
Oh, yes. Mona Packaging is located in Weert, the Netherlands, Limburg, and we are a distributor of all kinds of packaging materials. We have a business unit called Retail Packaging, with packaging materials for our Dutch and Belgian retail customers, and that's like the cups, the disposables, the trays, the bread bags, and so on. And I work as a key account manager for our business unit called Industrial Packaging, with industrial customers all over Europe, for which we deliver products like boxes, the tape, the stretch film, the shrink film, and so on. We don't see ourselves as the next one-stop shop in the line for packaging materials, but our goal is to provide some added value and to take on the role of a packaging consultant. As our purchasers have contacts all over the world, they get to know all the new innovation, new materials, and so on. And it's important for us that we can share them with our customers again. So just like on the picture, our goal is to help our customers grow by feeding them with our knowledge, our innovation, and of course our services. Sustainability has always been an important part of our organization, even long before it became a popular topic. Mona Packaging is actually a family company which has been founded in 1955 and which has had 3 generations of the family Monen. Geer Monen has recently left the company since his children had no interest in taking over the company. But Geer Monen has always been a big forefighter of the sustainability, even already in the years 90 and so on. Before it was some hip and trendy item, he was already on the barricades shouting that we had to do something about our planet. And that is something that he has passed on in our company to all our employees and our colleagues. We believe that sustainable entrepreneurship has 2 different sides. On the business sides, we believe that sustainable packaging can have a huge impact. Next to the fact that it actually helps to save our planet, we help our customers to have a better resource management, but also to be already in line with regulations that have put in place for the upcoming years. We have also experienced ourselves that it creates a positive vibe within the company, which leads to passionate employees. But next to the business side, we have our own belief ourselves. At the beginning of this year, we have determined which of the Sustainable Development Goals created by the United Nations suit the best with our corporate values. And we strongly believe that economic growth has to come from decent working conditions and that people have to be aware of their consumption and production. And to achieve this, there has to be a strong call for action. And related to our business area, we pay, of course, a lot of attention to both life on the land and the life in the water to support responsible sourcing on one hand and to avoid pollution in the oceans on the other hand. One of our tools that we like to use with our customers is our sustainability ladder, which has been developed to help our customers to move toward a more sustainable situation. And it's kind of, it has an analogy with the waste hierarchy pyramid that Uwe has presented. Based on what we have learned and on our vision on sustainability, we have created this ladder to determine together with our customers where one of their packaging material is right now on the ladder and which steps can be made to move towards a more sustainable situation. And of course, if we get to choose, we won't know packaging at all. But as you all know, packaging is not something that has to be avoided, but it just has to be used in the right way. And if you're going to use it, please make sure you make the best possible choice in this situation for your packaging. Then this tool is something that we use all the time with our customers and which has been proven to be very effective, and also to give some insights to our customers, because sometimes they just see it white and black. It's no packaging at all, or it's this, but they have to realize that there are some gradations and some possibilities, and they don't have to move towards a bio-based or biodegradable solutions at once, but just take some small steps. You can move forward, Rob. And of course, if we get to choose, okay, this is it's a Dutch slide, but if we get to choose, we want to work with our customers towards a circular model in which the rest stream can be reduced to a minimum. One of our circular concepts that we have developed in the past, and which also has again some similarities with the paper cups project from Maria, is our stacked concept, which was actually a pioneering project at the time. Shortly, we deliver coffee cups made from sugarcane residue to our customers, which can be collected again in some cup holders that are also provided by us. We collect the used coffee cups, who are collected in some big bucks, and we bring them to a partner who ferments them into new plant nutritions to complete the circle, in fact. But what I want to talk about today are new projects, which also results from sustainability training that I've had in the beginning of this year, is our Happy Plastic project. Again, we at the moment we only have some Dutch version, but I think that the drawing itself will be quite clear. Since we see that too much plastic packaging materials aren't properly recycled or do end up in the oven to be burnt, we have decided to take action. With this project, we provide bag holders and garbage bags to our customers, which you can see at the bottom, at the top left. If they collect the transparent plastics like the shrink film, the stretch film, the plastic bags, and so on in the provided bags, these bags can be pressed into the machine, the yellow machine you see at the top, into a bale of 250 kilograms in a bale press, which is also provided by Mono Packaging. Between 40 and 50 bags of 400 liters can be pressed into one bale that fits on a Euro pallet. When our truck arrives to deliver some ordered packaging materials, we take the bales back with us to Mono, and as soon as we have collected, let's say, one full truckload of bales, we bring them to a partner who melts them again into reusable PE granulates and who makes, amongst others, new garbage bags from it. These bags are provided back to our customers to close the sustainable loop. So, in fact, it's just our way to support a circular model. A lot of our customers have no idea where their PE garbage, in fact, or the PE film ends up and what is done with it. They often pay some companies to collect them. They pay some waste contribution. And in this model, we turn the garbage, in fact, into a new raw material. So they don't have to pay anything at all. They just, we collect them, we take them back, we make new bags, and it's all for free. So it's just, we help them safe. We have two possibilities. The small local companies based or located in Weert, our hometown, they can always bring the bags to Monon Packaging itself. We have some fixed days per week where they can just bring the bags. We put them in our own bale press. But the bigger national customers, they get a bale press on location, which has two sizes. And in fact, when they can create more than 5 bales per month, they even get a free bale press. Below, you have some leasing contracts and some amounts per month. But again, we aim to have a contract for 3 or 5 years with them. But there again, if they do enough, we just put the bale press there for free. And in fact, it's our goal to make the world, together with our customers, a little bit prettier again.
Thank you, Sven, for your contribution. I think for the moment we saw 3 completely different angles how to proceed in the future. That's also the theme of this European project in which we are working here together with, as a partner with the Discovery Museum here. But before going to the discussion, I want to show you some samples of a colleague of mine in Paris. I got this presentation because we know each other already for many, many years. He was the president of EPDA also a long time ago. But anyhow, he asked me to do his presentation, and that's the reason why I want to share ideas about packaging materials and the reusability and to bring it in a circular system. Sometimes they are quite functional, sometimes they are humoristic, and sometimes you even may think they are idiot, but that's why we are designers, of course. So let's see what is in the world of what he has done. Packaging becomes decoration. He has done a lot of things. And for example, this is what we see from packaging materials done here with the plastic issues. On the left side, you see materials that was on the fair in Milano last year, in which they use old materials, not only packaging materials, but also technical issues. And they made it a huge number of artificial insects of it. I must say it was quite interesting. This is the work from Fabrice. You can see that he makes from plastic, and from on the right hand side, you see small leaves from cutted plastic, and he make out of that new ideas and new individuals, put it that way. The big animal in the mid is a compressed material, of course, as you can see. On the other hand, you remember when you walk on the beach, for example, you see the small pieces of glass that has been in the ocean for many, many years. And at the moment they come to the coast, there are artists in France who collect them and who make jewelry out of them. So a kind of absolutely uniqueness. Fabrice himself, he did an experiment with cardboard shoes. Everybody was looking at him, of course, but the interesting thing is that what you see beside that is actually the big rolls of materials for beer cans and boxes. And from that material that is plastified, of course, and covered, he made also these shoes. Anyhow, funny. On the other hand, you can make, of course, gadget out of it. You throw away the bottle, or you do things like these artists do. I think this comes from Sweden, as I remember. But anyhow, that is the second life of a bottle in a different way. Here you see, for example, on the top left, you see heated PET bottles and blown up to a new shape. So the plants you see are actually old bottles. On the far left, you see how to pour water on your plants when you're on holiday. There is a kit problem, of course, project, the soda bottle jetpack. You see a camera, but you see also a collection of pencils that can be used in a very easy way with old plastic bottles. Of course, we see more and more plastic becomes a new material, as we see here in the granulates, what we all know from the beer crates, for example, but also in the steel world and in the plastic world, we have seen, of course, a lot of that. And the partners of EPDA, and among them, of course, Stora Enso, but also Sleever, they are fully concerned to do this in the right and the most effective way, of course. This is also plastic, as you can see, in a different way. These are the bottles. On the right side, you see the bottle bottoms, and they used as a pavement in your garden. Packaging can become urban. I discussed with Stora Enso, but they are not longer a part of the Stora Enso group. The renewable, the Reboard stuff, Maria, you probably know, but Reboard was an initiative of Stora Enso, and you actually produced out of it new building materials. And actually, it was used in very interesting ways. For example, in refugees areas, you can give them a tent, but you can give them also a small house made out of recycled packaging material, of course. And this is what Fabrice showed. You see here a lot of packaging pallets, but also furniture. And you see the elimination on the top and the mid. That is a project he did in Paris with old Coca-Cola bottles. He made huge projects to eliminate with Christmas the city. You see here the use of PET bottles on the right side, crates on the left. Packaging becomes art. These are only the, how do you call them, the tops of the beer bottles, and they are sold. What he did actually, he made a lot of art also out of packaging, and as you can see here, a great diversity of items. And here we have the light, for example. Here you see it in the city. On the top right, it is interesting, the PET bottle is used in African countries where the bottle is filled with water and it works like a lens, as you see in the mid, and it can spread the light in a working area. So a very pragmatic way. Packaging becomes furniture. We have seen that, of course, several times here as well. This is also an idea of Fabrice. And actually, from that area, he once founded, let me see, some samples from Tesco, for example, to make new packaging out of it. And what did Fabrice in Paris? He opened the shop. Oh, you have been there, I think. It was really opposite of the Louvre Museum. He opened the shop in which he sold actually a lot of packaging materials, as you see in the mid, the bags, but also the lamps and all the things like that. And they were not expensive. They were the artists were well paid, but he spread the material all over the world as a piece of art, instead of what Uwe said before, are we decorating waste? No, we are making waste into art, and it becomes a new opportunity. So I think that is a nice way to show you what is possible. And here are a few more samples. And actually, at the end, I would say, let's see if we can, based on what we saw today, both the industrial side, but also the humoristic, artistic side from Fabrice. As you can see here, for example, he has been working for the headquarters of Tetra Pak in Switzerland, and he made wall decorations from their own materials. And I think was a very nice way to make it in a different way. These bottles on the left, of course, but also the press bottles on the right. It's quite interesting. Here you see it in the head offices of Tetra. The last thing from Fabrice is what I want to share with you is the book he recently published, The Packaging Revolution. And it is all about do new and weird things with packaging and look at it. But the book is actually, it has two functions. It gives a lot of information about the backgrounds of packaging materials. And on the other hand, it encourages you as a designer to do different things with it. The book is produced by Fabrice and shared with the EPDA as an organization. So feel free to go to the website of EPDA Packaging Design, and you'll probably find the connection to get it. He's working, by the way, on his next book as well. So the last step of our discussion, I will stop sharing my screen in order to see everyone. We heard a lot, and I want to use the last 15 minutes in order to be in the planned timing of this lecture. Share some ideas and connect each other among each other. I think that makes sense. But my first question is, who may I give the stage to start the discussion? Who is up? Good, Maria, you have the kickoff.
I'm ready to volunteer, yeah. So, well, maybe I would like to kind of throw the question to everyone and hear your thoughts on like we have been discussing the materials. I sort of also raised the issue of environmental performance of the packaging. So by also sharing example from the food service sector. So when we look at the quick service restaurant and we look at the single use and reusables and what kind of like interesting findings we have seen in that area. So how much this as a topic, the environmental performance across the life cycle of the packaging. So how much have you been sort of exposed to that, and how much do you see the interest towards looking at the sustainability, not just from materials point of view, but really from the environmental performance point of view?
Okay, who of the young generation will give the answer, which Maria is waiting for?
I think it's more of a like a topic for discussion. I think no one really has the right answer.
Yeah. No one from the young generation, probably the other partners of the speeches today, Uwe or Sven. Do you have a comment on that?
Well, first of all, thank you for the great presentations we heard today, Maria, Sven, and Rob, on behalf of Fabrice, our great friend. Yeah, that's an interesting topic. I can just say I'm talking to many people, different stakeholders of the process, and this is the topic. I mean, sustainability is not a trend. We need to do something to survive. It's really very important. And to whomever you talk, you hear, well, this as their big question. At the same time, I see that there is, well, there are many things where especially, well, big companies are bending the truth a little bit. I don't want to name it greenwashing. Sometimes it's even green painting, where they like to just do something to show that they're, well, doing something, but to really discover the measures that have an impact. This is important, and I see a lot of movement there throughout all industries, small companies, big companies, and I also read a couple of studies where you can read that the consumers are also very much interested in getting help. What they can contribute, what they should buy, where they should put the stuff after use, and so on. So it's, I think, the biggest topic at the moment for packaging. It's, well, super important.
Yeah, I fully agree on that. I think what we know from the last years is actually that everybody who was sustainable, both in production of food, but also in production of packaging, people were rewarded in the most interesting ways, big conferences, and they got medals and all the things like that. I think we should look for a new decade after today that says that those who are not sustainable will be punished. And I think that's quite a dramatic change of view, but I think it makes sense. We have seen that before, of course, in our world. And I think at the moment we all contribute to that by both supported by the industry and supported by a new behavior of both retailers, brand owners, and consumers. I think that makes sense because, and at the end of the day, everyone, designer is also a consumer. And so in that sense, he has a responsibility for himself. But Sven, you had an idea about the role of plastic. You asked me, what did you mean with that?
Well, I don't think that we have to condemn plastic to be something very terribly wrong. But I think that we should be aware that when they're using plastic, and it also has been mentioned earlier today in the presentation, in the design and production process, please be aware of what you're doing and be critical. Is it necessary? As I said, I was last week on the Fachpack fair in Germany, and there was this quote that actually covers really well what I think about this, the use of materials, and it said, use paper packaging when possible and plastic when useful. I think plastic really can have its purpose and a good purpose, but yeah, please reuse it. Try to use new materials, recycle them, and so on. So yeah, I think just that's also the decades after us. They really have to be made aware of what they're doing and what the impact is of what they're doing. Because right now, the youth is just, yeah, they're living their life and they don't think too much about the impact of it. I think if we, punishing is maybe quite a big step, but maybe necessary. Just make people aware of what they're doing, and please be critical about the resources you use, even if they are made from paper or something renewable. Just don't overuse everything.
Okay, Uwe.
Yeah, Sven, thank you. I mean, I was really impressed by your Happy Plastics project because it's so simple in a way. I mean, everybody who's like part of this circle really sees what happens. I mean, putting the plastic or condensing the volume, this is visible. So you have this big maybe academic idea of closing the loop, of doing the circular economy and everything, but you are doing it in a small scale, and for everybody it's really visible, and everybody experiences it in a smaller scale, and I like this very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. The question we often get from the companies who are participating in the project to make sure that the plastic garbage we collect, that we have to make sure that it returns into a new plastic bag, and with some RFIDs and some scanning and some barcodes, it is possible to make sure that the recycling company lets us track where their trash is going, and to make sure that the bags are made from the batch we have given to them to make some new ones. So you really notice that companies are aware of the circularity, and they want to make sure that they contribute to close that loop.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I fully agree on that. And probably at the end of this session, 2 remarks, because being member of EPDA, as Uwe is as well, we are the organization for the designers in Europe and abroad, how to handle with problems like this. And what we did last year, after 2 Zoom years, we created a box with materials in it from our technology partner, and we used that box to share it with designers and with students in order to give them the opportunity to feel and see what materials and innovation really means for them as a designer on the desk. And I must say that I have to share that with Uwe, because at the moment he is still the president. But I could imagine, we decided last week that we will continue working with the box also next year. And an idea to make a refill based on used materials being the new generation of used materials could be an interesting issue to put in the box as well, of course, because at that moment it becomes quite tangible that you have it in your hand. You see, hey, it looks not like shit, but it looks like a good new material, and the advantage is a very good one, I think. That's one issue. And the second issue we are working on very early already at the moment is that we think that we have organizations worldwide like Fair Trade, and we are thinking about an initiative that we want to call Fair Pact. And at that moment, we want to see how we can combine the industries and the partners as we have them within EPDA to see if we can bring that message on stage, because we are acting on actually all European packaging fairs. We are working at the universities with the young designers. So I think we have access to bring to spread the message. I think that's a very important issue. And for that reason, I'm very happy to have you have here all together and sharing the ideas about what we think could be the future. Uwe.
Yeah, just, I mean, Stora Enso was also part of our desk project initiative, and we're very thankful for that. But one remark to your presentation, Maria, you talked about everything possible can be made out of a tree. And I think this is really interesting. And from your country, from Finland, Sulapak is a very good example for what you can do with trees. But I also found another example. Table tennis, you know, ball. And this is originally made and still made from celluloid, and celluloid is nothing else than cellulose, and it behaves like a plastic. So in some respect, the only thing is if you burn it, it really explodes, and that was the problem with the early films, that in the movies fire starts. But this is very fiber-based materials. That's a fantastic opportunity for the future, and I fully believe that we'll have wooden airplanes and everything else from trees. So I'm with you.
Thank you for that.
The carbon fiber part of the airplane. So I trust the engines will still be made of other materials, but indeed, like of course, tree has three components. So you have the cellulose, you have the hemicellulose, and then you have the magical lignin, which is the natural glue of a tree. And we believe that by looking into all these components and developing on them, we can come up with very interesting solutions for the future. To replace fossil-based materials in many end uses, also beyond packaging.
And use us designers, we are the creative source for like thinking beyond the borders. So welcome.
As you showed, not to decorate waste, but to play with waste, as you saw the last one with the small balls. Okay, everyone. I think there are enough connections you can share. You can send us mails. You can send mail to the Discovery Museum. And anyhow, at the moment you have questions, I think that all of our speakers are absolutely willing to answer your questions. And whenever you need in a university a speech from some of us in order to explain to others what we are aiming on, I think that is the reason why we do things like this. For the time being, thank you very, very much. And I want to say goodbye to everyone and then close the meeting.
Thank
you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.